this never would have been able to happen if we had not combined resources as a family.
Yeah.
So I don't think people see the long-term expansive benefits that can happen, not just emotionally, relationally, but financially by combining households. Welcome to Home After 50. I'm Julie Ford, and this is a show about reimagining what life can look like in this next chapter. Here we explore home, family, reinvention, and the evolving ways that women after 50 are shaping lives that are meaningful, grounded, and true. I'm so glad you're here. Welcome back to Home After 50. This week I'm sharing something a little bit different with you, and I hope that you're going to enjoy it. My friend, Autumn Ceniza, who is a real estate advisor, a woman who is committed to teaching other women how to build wealth, and the founder of Meet Coterie, which is a whole new kind of women's organization for women in business, invited me to have a conversation with her about multi-generational living and wealth. And it actually also turned into my sharing a bit more about my reinvention of my business over the past year, and even some things I think I've probably never shared here on the podcast before. So I hope you enjoy this conversation. I'm also hoping to invite Autumn to come on to the Home After 50 podcast so I can interview her and we can hear her reinvention story, because she's got a great one that I think you would also love. But for now, you get Autumn's interview with me, and I hope you enjoy it.
All right, Julie, I'm excited to chat with you today. So a little background, I committed to doing 30 days of live or recording a video that ties back to wealth because it's such an important topic amongst women, especially, and trend I've been noticing, which you will talk on this, it's not really a trend, that ties to wealth and my real estate clients, is multi-gen living. We refer to it out here as next gen, only because that's what the builders call their suites. But it's such an interesting topic that most don't think about money when they think about the multi-gen living. So immediately when this started to come up, I was like, I know who I need to talk to, and that's you. So I'll let you introduce yourself, but Julie is someone who is in real estate, but she primarily focuses on multi-gen living because she lives it. She is the most experienced and knowledgeable to teach on the topic. So she helps others do it, and she is doing it for herself. So today we'll have a conversation more around the money part of it, and then get a little bit more into your story, because that's always fun for others to hear. So I'll let you get started and just kind of tell us about yourself.
Thank you. I'm so excited that you invited me. As you know, I love to talk about this, and I do love to talk about the money aspect of it. And I think you're right. I think that we don't talk about it enough, and there's a lot of benefits and sometimes complexities to the money, the financial aspect of multi-gen living that people really need to be aware of hopefully before they move in with family. Sometimes we figure it out along the way, but there's a lot to learn, there's a lot to share, there's a lot to be excited about, to be honest. And I'm happy to share a little bit of my personal story too, because I actually have a pretty great multi-gen money personal story that I didn't know I was going to have 11 years ago when we moved into this house with my mom. So my background is I've been in real estate and housing for 30 years. So I was in affordable housing for 20 years. I've been in residential real estate for about 10 years. And I'm also a certified senior advisor, which means I work with a lot of aging adults and help a lot of people my age. I'm 57. I help a lot of people my age support their aging parents, like I'm helping my mom. So my mom's 83 now. And when my dad passed in 2011, when he was ill, we talked about, well, after he died, where would my mom live? They'd been together since they were 15. So we talked about creating a multi-gen home. At the time, we talked about adding on to a different house that we were in then. It honestly, looking back, it wouldn't have made any sense, but it was comforting to think about. It was comforting for my dad, and it put the idea on the table. And then as it turned out, after he passed, my mom was not ready to do that for 3 more years. By the way, I think this is really important. Like when families are thinking about multi-gen living, there is often some resistance from somewhere in the family, but very often from the older generation because it can have a feeling of giving up some independence, giving up some privacy. There's so many ways to make that work better for everyone, but I think it's really important to respect people's hesitation and timing.
Yeah.
And so that's what we had to do with my mom. Like we were excited about the idea. She wasn't ready. She needed time to figure out who she was without my dad. So especially if there's grief and
Yes.
loss, that becomes part of the conversation. So 3 years later, she was ready, which is now 11 years ago. We moved into this home, our multi-gen home, which has a beautiful apartment for my mom. So it's a very nice setup. We're lucky. She has all the privacy in the world. She has her own entrance. It's an 800 square foot. It's essentially almost a two bedroom. It's like a one bedroom with a den. She's got 1.5 baths. She's got a full kitchen. Like it's a very nice situation. So our experience of it has been very positive because we've had a setup that has allowed for us to
Yeah.
have a lot of privacy and independence for everyone and still have all the benefits of being in the same house.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
the money side was something that, yeah, early on, we knew it made sense financially in a lot of ways, like that it would be less expensive, right? Than just having one house
Yeah.
for our family I'm sorry, than just each having our own house
Yeah.
for our family to come into one house. But I had no idea like what that was actually going to mean for us over time. And I'm happy to share a little bit like specifically what it has meant for us if you think that would be interesting for
Yeah,
people
I
to hear.
think we should definitely get into that because and you can talk on this too. I think the majority of people are going into it at a time when they're not necessarily thinking about the money. It's, at least for my clients, it's almost like it happens too late is I guess what I'm trying to
I
get at. I
agree.
feel like they're coming to me when they're like in almost panic mode where it's
Yeah.
like, we need to do something like either, we have an aging parent or a child's moving home or all the different things. And it's like there's that emotion and they're not able to sit down and strategically look at it. Where what I'm trying to advise clients of right now is like you should be thinking about this like 5 years in advance. Like what does 5 years look like? What does 10 years look like? So that you're like almost what you just said is like so even everybody has time to prepare. Like if your mom knew, like, hey, in 5 years we're going to do this, it's like mentally you're getting ready for it, and maybe you're ready earlier, or but
Totally.
instead of doing it when it's like a panic mode or during grief too.
100%. And I'm so glad you brought that up because there's another aspect to it. And we can talk about this if you think it's relevant to people who might listen to this. But there's a whole other aspect to the planning process that protects your assets and your wealth and your family's resources that if you do this too late you're putting more of your resources at risk with poor planning
Yeah.
because you're doing things in an emergency. Plus none of us ever make great decisions during an emergency,
No.
right? So yeah, there's a whole other aspect to the financial side of things that if you have correct planning, really can protect everybody in the family to have the protection for their financial assets, but also the care needs that they need in the
Yeah.
future.
I feel like there's like so many episode spin-offs that we
Yeah,
could do
I
because
know.
it's that too. Yeah, there's so many levels of it that again, people aren't thinking of.
Yeah.
And it also ties back to even like that generational wealth of like what you're building towards. And it's the protection layer too that so many people are getting wrong. They do all the other steps right, but it's everything else there's just so much that goes into it.
Yes.
But okay, to keep it, because we could probably go on forever on
We
this.
could.
Yeah, I think going back and like really talking about the money side of it, because that will help somebody else who's like in the position or knows. I mean, for example, when I posted about this the other day, I had so many people reach out being like, "Oh my God, this is definitely something I need to start thinking about. Like it'll definitely be me in like 10 years or like yeah, all of that." But
Yep.
they're thinking of it from just like purely they know they'll need to move a parent in with them, not
Yes.
the money.
Right.
That is so important in all of it. So talking about kind of, yeah, what that looks like because people aren't thinking about, they're thinking about combining households, but you're not thinking about all the expenses each individual household has.
Yes.
and then how much you actually save. Even when you're spending more on a home,
Yes.
you're actually lowering a lot of expenses.
100%. And you're leveraging your resources. So, in our situation, and everybody needs to think about ownership differently depending on your family situation. In our situation, my mom didn't want to own anything after my dad died. So, she made a contribution to this house, to the down payment. And so my husband and I own the house. Now, that, for a lot of reasons, has worked out great for everybody. And it was the right decision for our family. You do have to think about that ahead of time. Everybody will be different. But what happened for us is if anybody remembers the crash in the real estate market of 2008, our first house that we bought, we ended up upside down. We bought our first time home buyer house. We were supposed to be there for 5 years. We were there for 11 years because the market crashed. So we did not do well in real estate the first time out. And that's why I think real estate is such a long game too.
Yeah.
You just have to keep going.
Yes, we have a
So,
similar story too that could have stopped us
so
from ever moving
yeah, it
forward.
was not so fun. All ended up okay.
Yes.
So with this house that we bought in 2015, we had better luck. It was a better time. But so my mom made a contribution, and this is how this has played out. And I just think this is interesting for people to hear. So my mom didn't have a ton of money. She had few $100,000. So she invested some of that, a portion of that in the down payment. That allowed us to buy this house, which at the time was worth half of what it's worth now. And we didn't have much either. We scrambled. Like we took a loan against a 401k. We had a little equity in the other house because even though we actually had we sold it for less than we bought it for, we had still paid down for 11 years. So we had some equity to move with us. Not a lot though. And we basically pulled everything we could to buy this house. And once we were here, so that was 2015, when we were here 3 years, my brother's family had gone through a really difficult time. They had lost their house in a foreclosure. My sister-in-law had been hit by a drunk driver and had a traumatic brain injury, a series of unfortunate events, and they were in really rough financial shape. They basically were living in a campground. And so we, at that point, had accumulated enough equity in this house because of the investment that my mom had made and us pulling our resources that we actually took a home equity loan. We bought a small house, which was a lovely small house, and rented it to my brother for just enough that we could cash flow and they could afford it. And 2 years later, they recovered their credit enough that, because that had situation been going on a
Yeah.
long time, that they were able to buy the house from us for a fair market price. And that had grown enough equity that we took that money and we bought a vacation property that we turned into an Airbnb business. And so for 4 years, we ran an Airbnb that we sometimes were able to take vacation at. And 4 years later, that property had gained enough equity that we actually sold it and paid off both of our kids' college loans.
That's amazing. I think,
I actually literally
yeah,
get goosebumps when I say
same.
it
Yes.
because it's wild. We had zero college savings for our kids because of being upside down in our first
Yeah.
house. Like we had nothing like the first 11 years of our marriage. I mean, there was a time, I never even talk about this, but there was a time we had $78,000 in credit card debt
Yeah.
early in our marriage in our first house. And we were always playing that game of like, oh, 0% over here, we'll
Yeah.
transfer here, like just trying to get ahead.
Yeah.
And so to be able to pay off hundreds of thousands of dollars in student loans and not saddle our kids now,
Yes.
they both graduated last year. We had them each do the direct student loan. So so they each have like, I don't know, like $27,000.
Yeah.
And, because we felt, hey, they should be responsible for
Yeah.
one of them. But everything we did ended up paying for everything else for them. And that has changed everybody's lives in our family, even the people who don't live here.
Yeah.
It's
It,
wild. And I think I go back to this never would have been able to happen if we had not combined resources as a family.
yeah.
So I don't think people like see the
Yes.
long-term expansive benefits that can happen, not just emotionally, relationally, but financially by combining households. I think it's amazing.
Yes. Thank you for sharing that because that's it. That so many people aren't looking at. And also that's the part of like the wealth story that I'm so passionate about with having people understand that real estate does help you build your wealth if you use it properly and you're strategic. And it does not mean people look at real estate and people that are investing in real estate as, oh, they must have come from money to be able to get to there. That's not something I can do. I can't even do this. Like, no, they just decided to do it. Like they got in. I'm sure your first house wasn't like your dream home because I mean mine wasn't.
Definitely
But it
was
was like
not.
we just need to get in.
You
We
have to
know
get in.
enough that real estate is a great tool. And I just see so many people trying to do so many other things, like working hard and like just thinking they need to just continue to bring in more revenue when they're like your situation. You were just living in a home. You were helping your mom. You were helping your brother's family. And what that created, that ripple effect, then just went beyond just your household. And that's what people aren't understanding. And I'm sure there's even more of an impact to come on what that looks like for the remainder of your future.
For
And
sure.
I mean, I think this is also important to talk about, and it's something I was going to ask you, and it ties into it. You rebuilt your career in your 50s, and I
Yep.
would have to imagine that part of you having either maybe the confidence or the timing to do it came from those series of events that happened that you were able to then go take a risk and try something new and build out this new business. So again, another layer of that. So even if you want to talk on that too, because I think all of it is important and how it helps people understand the picture of how these little decisions create such an impact on our lives.
I totally agree. I'm 57. I think I said that. And I only restarted my business a year ago. And I never saw it coming. I'm so passionate about women like reinventing
Yeah.
themselves in their
Yeah.
50s and beyond because at this point in our lives, there is so much accumulated wisdom and life experience. And when you are able to pull together all of the pieces of yourself, all of the learned lessons accumulated, and your whole story of your like real life and help other people through
Yeah.
creating something that you can offer because of that, it is the most unbelievably rewarding thing. And I do credit that to all the decisions we made together as a family. I mean, I could get super emotional about it and go
Yeah.
way, way back because I was fortunate enough to grow up in a family where like we were always the house people came to, like my parents' house, like the cousins would show up there, the friends who were having a rough time with their parents would show up there. We always had like someone living on the couch. Like we grew up like with this, very a home that was very open to supporting people. And so when I tell this story and I think about like the roots of that with my parents and us losing my dad almost 15 years ago and stuff, and I'm gonna cry. um, when I think about like what now I'm able to do and the people's lives that I'm able to impact and help with this, when I think like over the past year, like 10,000 people have downloaded my multi-gen living guide. Like
Yes.
that is crazy, right? Like how did that
Yeah.
happen? But I think, wow, like this feels like legacy to me. It feels like my family's
Yeah.
legacy. And yes, I would not have been able to do that if we hadn't done this and
Yes.
lived together and lived it and experienced the benefits of it.
Yeah. And knowing, and I think it's so important too, just the knowing of like what your clients are going through too. And that's how, that's why I would assume you would probably agree that part of your success is that you're able to show up and understand and see a few steps ahead of what's to come for them and know how to help them navigate through it because it's not it's all yes, we can tell the story of how great it was, what the end game was, but there's
Yeah.
so much that goes into all of this that is hard and you've lived it. So I think that's to me that type of business owner or even real estate agent is the type that is going to be the most successful because they know how to help clients and it's coming from a genuine place because you
Yeah.
know those emotions. You know it's still, I'm sure all of them are just as raw as when they happened. Um, so yeah, I just love it. I just love the whole how the impact of all of it and what you're creating. So
Thank you. I appreciate that. I feel incredibly fortunate and I'm having a lot of fun
yeah.
too. Yeah.
Yes. And something else I kind of ask anybody I talk to is just to tie up like this money part of it. Right now, I would assume your house has gone up in value
It's
substantially.
double. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's double what it was 11 years ago. Yeah.
And that's a whole nother level of relief and knowing like a security blanket of
Yeah.
where you can take these risks and you can do these things because you know that you do have that, like if needed, your house
Yes.
is a place where you can either pull out money through a home equity line of credit, or if you needed to
Yep.
sell, or the different ways that you could utilize that,
Totally.
just like you did to help your brother. Those are things that I think people need to lead with or understand when they're looking at making a real estate decision, not just an investment or just a home to live in. Like though that is it.
For sure. And I'm glad you mentioned a home equity line of credit. We always, this is just our family, but we always have a line of credit open.
Yes.
Right now, we're not using it for
Yeah.
anything. Oh, why wouldn't you? Like,
I
why wouldn't you?
I wish I mean I preach this to every one of my clients, especially when like the values have gone up substantially, and we saw a pretty big dip last year. I mean, they've come back up where we're at, but it's like if you would have already had that, like people, I don't think people understand that the home equity line of credit is based on the value of your home. So
Yep.
when it's at its peak, why not just take it and not touch it and have
Yep.
it there instead of waiting till you need it and maybe the values have dropped or it's,
Totally.
yeah,
Or your job situation has dropped. I mean, you have to qualify to be able to repay a home equity line of credit,
yes,
right? So
yes,
what if you're on the verge of, I say this to people who, because I work with a lot of older adults, like I say this to people who are like thinking about downsizing, retiring, like take the home equity line of credit now while you're still working before you
yes,
retire, have it available to you. And then when it's time to move and make the move, you can fund your move without having to be in this horrible situation of like selling and buying a house on the same day.
yes.
Who wants to do
Oh
that?
my
Like
gosh.
there's so many other ways to do that too, but I just
Yes.
think it's just a smart financial move.
Oh, absolutely. That's 100%. And same thing with purchasing, even like a multi-gen home or purchasing a home in general. It's that as well. Like if you're a lot of when you're at that point of looking at multi-gen, most are probably nearing an age of retirement or, really close to thinking about it. And that is a huge part of that is like you have to also think about what you can qualify because you don't want to wait until it's a necessity to buy something or need to figure it out and then you can't qualify. So that's also something that, I've been having that conversation with clients of thinking about it ahead of time. Like now when your career is, you have the means to buy this home that maybe your parents aren't going to move into right now, or maybe it's not, you won't need all the space, but it's something that setting
You
yourself
can
up
be
for the
planning
future.
ahead. And honestly, there are so many of us who are in this position where our kids are young adults, our parents are aging, and we don't actually know what anybody's going to do, right? When your
Yes.
kids graduate from college, they're who
Yeah.
knows?
Yeah.
Both of mine are out of the house right now. I don't know how long that's gonna last.
Yeah.
Like, and Rod and I talk, my husband and I talk about this all the time. Like, we love having the extra space. Like, I love it for them to come home and visit. They always feel like they can be here, but they also can boomerang back if they want to. And because I mean, for
Yeah.
young people to afford homes today, I don't know how most of them are going to.
No. No, that is the sad reality of it's good and bad, right? Like, because for those of us that got in and own properties and have reaped the benefits of the appreciation, it's amazing.
Yeah,
But for our kids, where the market I'm at, I mean, you can't get, I mean, $1 million is really your starting point for something that's,
yeah,
I mean, barely anything.
right.
And that's not the reality that children I mean, they are children when they're graduating college still. They can't afford that. There's no way they can. But being able to help them in this situation is by either letting them move back in with them and having that space, or by being able to assist them in purchasing something
Yeah,
because you have the equity, because you
yeah,
have or maybe you've purchased a property, like you were able to help your brother with that. Like that's something to think about as well. And that's something we're always thinking about is how, like, the properties we buy and what we're doing, how that sets our kids up for success. Because, I mean, the reality is it's going to be very, very hard. And also, the other reality is I want them close to me. So there's that too.
good
And if they
bribe.
can't afford to stay close to me,
Here's a
like,
house right down the
how do
street for you.
we, how do we bridge that gap? with also teaching them like they have to, work for it and all the, things
Exactly. It's a
that,
balance for sure.
yes,
Yeah. Yeah.
yes,
We had those conversations when, especially because my son was at college out in Colorado. I'm in Massachusetts, and we had looked for a little while, like, oh, should we buy a place? And then he can rent it, he can help manage it. Like, well, we haven't done that yet. It didn't make sense at the time with everything else that we were doing, but those kind of things still are on our mind. Actually, I listen to you all the time, and I'm like, I probably should be doing something with the equity in my house now. The reason I'll say this because I think it's good for people to hear this. Like I am a firm believer in real estate investing, and I also am a firm believer in that you have to do the things that feel right to you at the time. And we felt very leveraged when we owned the cabin in Vermont, and we were stretched thin too because we were running the business. I was hands on, like we had a cleaner there, but I
yeah,
was doing all the bookings and managing all that. So I felt very stretched thin that way. We also had a lot of overhead there. It didn't cash flow all the time. The benefits to that place was mostly the equity build. I mean, the business helped pay for it, but it didn't always cash flow.
yeah,
So that felt tight. And then we had big student loans that we had taken out for the kids. So we felt the stress of feeling very leveraged. And that didn't feel great to us at the time. And we made a decision as a couple, Rod and I, that we would feel happy and relieved to sell the place, pay off the loans, and give ourselves a little financial relief cash flow wise, like the
yeah,
pressure felt off a little bit.
yeah,
But now we're in a building phase again, right? Like my business is building up
yeah,
again. So now I'm already thinking like, okay, what's going to be the next thing that we
yeah.
invest in? Yeah.
Yes, because it does come down to a season of like where you're at and what that feels like. Because
Yeah.
I think that's another thing a lot of people think of investment properties, or there's people out there selling the false reality that investment properties are just this like cash
Totally hands off.
flowing, like this is
Passive
going to build
income.
your like wealth. Well, yes, it will build your wealth long term, but it is not a get rich quick type of thing. It is,
Not at all.
you have to,
No.
I mean,
Oh my
go
goodness.
into it
Yeah.
not expecting to make any money off of it, but know that the future payout is what
Yeah.
you're after. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not, you're not after what you're going to get out of it in the next 3 to 5 years.
Yeah.
That's the tax benefit. That's all you'll
Yeah.
get out of it. It's
Yeah.
what you'll get out of it long term. And
Yeah.
not
But
enough
the
people
tax
talk about
benefit's
that.
good though too.
Yes,
Like
the tax
the tax
benefit is
benefit's definitely
amazing.
good.
And
Yeah.
that's really why the majority do it. It's not because they need to bring in the money. So I think that's important to understand that going into it or looking at investment properties, you can't go into it thinking it's going to bring you in money or
Yeah.
help you make
Yeah.
revenue.
It's not a side gig for immediate cash flow most of the
No,
time. Yeah.
no, yeah. And a lot of people like to share that. Like, oh, just keep buying properties, buy another property. But
Yeah.
that's
Not
again
always.
another conversation.
Totally.
Um,
Totally.
so to kind of switch gears, or not really switch gears, I think we've kind of already been talking about this, but like for the woman watching this who feels like maybe she's behind, um, whether that's in money or career or visibility or real estate or whatever it may be, what has rebuilding in your 50s taught you about creating success in this new chapter?
Oh my gosh, that's a really good question because I like the question about the feeling behind. Because I think we've all experienced that. I felt behind when we got such a late financial start. I was in my 30s when I met Rod. So we were behind everyone of our peers who bought houses, before the market went
Yeah,
up. And I have been in a season, I think, of like trying on different businesses and new things for 20 years. And I think that there's this myth that one day you're just going to figure it out and you're going to know what the thing is before the thing actually comes to life. And I think what I've learned is instead, at least for me, that following the breadcrumbs of the things that light you up and the things that you can get excited about is really, it leads you to the thing that you can then create.
yeah,
And because I think what stops people is they're like, I don't know what my thing is. I don't know what like, I don't really know. Like, what I had no idea a year ago. Because this really happened like a year ago, May. So, what, 14 months ago,
yeah,
I decided, you know what, I'm going to go all in on Instagram. I'm going to figure out how to use Instagram. And I'm going to talk about multi-generational living just because everybody always asks me about it. We'd been living that way for 10 years. And every time my mom or I talked to a friend, they were like, oh, how does it work? Like, we would love to do that. And then I thought, oh, people want to know about this. I'll just make a guide. and it just blew up from there. But it was because I just followed the next thing. So
Yeah.
I think we often overthink it and think we're going to figure it all out ahead of time. I
Yeah.
didn't know what I was building until I was building it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you feel that way about your business?
I 100%. I think there's just so much noise out there, and everybody's looking at what other people are doing and thinking that they should have it figured out and they should do the thing they're doing. But the majority of the time, the thing that you need to do is like right in front of you. You just don't
Yes.
see it because you're living it. But that's what people want. It's like, I mean, there's that whole saying, like, your mess is your message. Like, what you went through, what you've done is what people need to hear, and that's how you're going to help them. But
Yes.
I absolutely agree. I think and it's a confidence thing too. I think it's once you've done the thing and you know you're confident and you could tell anybody, you could advise anyone on this, then that becomes like, oh, okay, this is it. And it's also being like, oh, people want to know this. Like, I think we also have that, like, oh, this isn't like a big
Because it seems
deal.
natural to you, right? Like,
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
it does. That's true. And I think also it really, and it sounds kind of cheesy to say this, I guess, but like if you really have something that you really want to help people with, like you are truly passionate about helping women figure out wealth building, right? Like
Yeah.
you've lived it, you've created it for yourself, and you know it's possible for other people, so you want to help them do it. I feel the same way about multi-generational living. I
Yeah.
actually feel the same way about women just reinventing themselves in their
Yeah.
50s and owning something that's theirs. I'm also very passionate about that. I gave a lot of no regrets because it all led me here, but I gave a lot of my time, energy, creativity, passion to other people's businesses for many, many years. And I do feel like I'm on a little bit of a mission to tell women to stop doing that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you need to have a little chip on your shoulder for any of it to
Yeah.
really be passionate about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I love that. And again, yeah, I mean, that's the same reason why I feel, I mean, obviously real estate is still my background, but in doing it, I've just seen so many women play small in any of the transactions and kind of take a back seat to it when I know they're holding back and I know they actually know more than, what they're saying
You're
or
letting
they're,
on.
yeah. And
Yeah.
that's kind of where it started. And then yeah, like it's like these conversations, because there's no one way to build wealth. It's not like a one size fits all. There's so many different opportunities and so many people just get stuck because there's not enough, they're not hearing other people's stories of where they started so that they can see themselves in that story to be like, oh, because most people just want to share like the great story of like the millions and like all of that, but not where it started.
That's so
And
true.
that's what makes
Yeah,
it
maybe I
possible
should
for
tell
others.
people more often that I was $78,000 in credit card debt.
Yeah, because it just normalizes like, oh, okay, she gets it. She's been there, so
Oh,
she figured it
okay. I'm not
out.
the
Like,
only one
because
who's
then I think
claiming
that's
that fear for
also,
second.
yeah, and it's the majority of people. I mean, I do like high level coaching now, and with people that on paper you're like, what do you need me for? Like, you're
Right.
phenomenal. But it's everybody has some mess underneath that they haven't taken care of, or no matter what level they get to, there's always something else that is happening underneath. And a lot of it is financial. Even if you're making good money, it's also keeping it
I mean, if you're
and
keeping it,
growing
yeah,
it.
that's a huge thing.
So that's something too that why I'm passionate about talking about it is because people you see the number that people are making, but you're not understanding what they're keeping and what they're growing. So that makes it feel like it's not attainable for you, but it's like that. So yeah, there's just so many things. That's why I love what you're doing and like sharing because I know behind it is obviously your story and you're sharing about multi-gen living. You're also sharing inadvertently how you kind of came from like doing one thing to going all in on this new, you know, reality of trying to figure out Instagram and sharing about multigen, but it was also sharing your story while teaching people, this side of things, which obviously in like how quickly you grew and the amount of people that download all of your guides or purchase your products, there is obviously a large population of people that are considering this and needing to know more about this, and there's not enough education on it.
Yeah,
So
and we're
what
at a convergence in society. Like, let's face it, we have an aging population, so we have a tremendous elder care crisis. Honestly, it's only
Yes.
worse. And we have an affordability crisis for young people just
Yes.
starting out. So those things are all coming together and meeting like women like you and I in the middle of all this in a place where, oh, okay, we're holding this and we're fine. We're the ones who are here trying to help find the solutions on both sides of it. So I think that's why it's such a like at the beginning you said it's not a trend. It's true. I mean, multi-generational living, I laugh about it. It's like the oldest thing in the world, right?
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, it's interesting. I was thinking about this because we went to Brazil because my husband's from Brazil. We went to Brazil for his grandmother's 100th birthday, and they live on a multi-generational compound.
Yeah.
And so I talked about it online, and a lot of people were popping in from like all over the world saying, "This is how we do it
Yeah.
here." And I'm like, I know, but in the US, people are like only just remembering this
Yes.
for the first time in the past 80 years that this is a really good idea. So it is the oldest thing in the world, but it is
Yeah.
up in the conversation because of the situation that we're in, both socially and economically.
Yes. No, absolutely. And same. My husband, his grandparents, both grandmas had lived with them always. Like that was just what it
Okay.
was.
Yep.
And yeah, they wouldn't have called it multi-gen living.
It didn't have a
They would
name.
just call
Yeah.
that's
It
just
was just
what you
life.
do. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that is an interesting point. I didn't think of it that way. But yeah, it's not the norm here in the US.
No,
But
but
I
it's
think
becoming more so.
it's going to be
Yep,
definitely.
definitely.
Yes, I love this conversation and I
Me
feel like
too.
we
Thank
need
you for
to,
inviting me to have
yeah,
that.
can have even more on different topics in the
For sure.
future. But you're right now working on, obviously, you have a lot of things that you're sharing, and people can go to your Instagram page and see all the different resources you have. But the one I'm most excited that you're currently in the works of putting out there is the money side of multi-gen living. If you want to just before, like as we end, just kind of share what that's going to cover. Um,
Sure.
and yeah.
Yeah, so I mentioned a year ago I created a multi-gen living guide, which was like a starter guide, and that was free. And then I realized after talking to so many people, because I do a lot of free clarity calls with families, and I do that to help people, but also I learned so much about what people are really grappling with and all of this. And I realized we needed to talk more about the money side. So about 3 months ago, I created a money guide that people can purchase. It's $17. And people really love it because it really helps them figure out, the ownership structure. How can we finance these things? How do we, evaluate how much savings this is going to be versus having two households or three households? It really walks people through that. But now I'm actually creating a course to go along with it because
Okay,
it's nice
course.
to
Sorry,
have a
not again.
guide.
Yes, that's what
Yeah,
it
it's
is.
nice to have a guide, but it's, I think, helpful sometimes to have somebody help walk you through all of the
Yeah.
steps. So
Yeah.
so the money guide's available. The course is coming.
Oh, exciting.
Yeah.
Well, keep me posted on when that is available so I
Definitely
can
will.
share.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for taking time to do this. I just love hearing other people's stories, and this is so
Same.
relevant right now to talk about between just my clients and but everybody really in general too to hear your story. So
Yeah, appreciate it. And we'll have to do the reverse, right? Where
yeah,
I end up with
I
you
would
now.
love that.
Love that.
Anytime. I am open to that. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much for joining me for this week's episode of Home After 50. I hope you enjoyed this conversation as much as I did, and I hope I'll be able to tell you soon that Autumn will be back on the podcast sharing her reinvention story. I know I'm looking forward to that. In the meanwhile, if you need support with multi-generational living, particularly with the financial aspects of it, you can visit my website, julieford.com/multi-gen, and there you will find all of my multi-gen resources, including the multi-gen money guide. See you next time. Thanks so much for joining me for this week's episode of Home After 50. If this episode resonated with you, please make sure you're following and subscribing so you never miss a thing. And you can find more resources at my website, julieford.com. See you next time.